Got it.
Got it. Okay, cool. Okay. Call the meeting to order. Roll, let's see, Ed Kestner,
Here.
Keisha Lee,
Here.
Mary Kay Sandhu,
Here.
Sue Rich,
Here.
Rob Huerman.
Sure.
Maxine Weil,
Here.
let's see, Beverly Knight
I'm here.
and Don LaChance.
Here.
And I'm here too. So we have a quorum. I think are there any written communications, Beverly?
No, there are none.
Okay. Do we have any written communications from anyone?
No, no written communications.
Okay. As you're looking out there, are there any other citizens on the line that you can see?
No, there are no attendees.
Okay. Let's see, we have the minutes from the previous meeting. They were included in the packet. Does anybody have any modifications or updates? Hearing none, I'll request a motion to approve the minutes.
No. Motion to approve.
Second,
I will second.
all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
We'll show it unanimously. Okay, director's report. Beverly?
I'm gonna have Dawn's gonna give the report tonight.
Okay.
Okay. I haven't seen it since Bev put all the pretty pictures on it, but that'll just make it shorter. So some of you were there and helped us, but those that were not, we did the prairie burn back on January the 21st. It was pretty interesting. It was my first time watching something like that, and really neat to see how it all laid out. But it, with a 10-person crew, it seemed like no time, but it was, pretty much the better half of the afternoon. So it was pretty cool to see. And a lot of people drew a lot of eyes. A lot of park goers were standing there watching and taking pictures. They couldn't believe that we're burning things in the park. So there was that. And then the winter storm kind of hit us hard, back-to-back punches. The last storm that came in on Monday had the guys working, some pretty strenuous shifts to get the not only the sidewalks cleared, but they got pulled in for the Public Works Department and had to help out with some parking lot stuff. And obviously we already do the city hall a lot, or the city hall sidewalks, along with the sidewalks to Stacy, bathrooms, our sidewalks. So there's a picture of most of the guys doing it. I don't know if this is going to be said later, but we have one of our park crew members back in action. Leonard came back in full force and working and jumped right in, and what a way to come back. He came back and it snowed. So it's doing good. It's doing good. Yeah, he's super excited to be back, and just he hated being home. So baseball RFP closed yesterday. We interviewed a contractor today, and we'll make a recommendation to the city council for approval Tuesday night. So we'll come up with some information on that at the next meeting. spring break camp with, oh my gosh, Josh, the circus kaput part of it. And Josh has different components, and the circus kaput one seems to be pretty popular thing for us, and we're going with that March 22nd through 26th. The registration is open now, and I think we already have like 10 or 12 people signed up for it.
13.
13. So that's great news, especially during what we've got going on. Summer camp plan, the camp registration opened yesterday. So during, everything that was going on, we also had to open up the registration and started getting some phone calls. I know I heard Megan's phone ringing off today, so. And I think Bev even took one on a Monday whenever she was in there. So
Do we typically meet capacity on those?
We do, yes.
we do, yeah.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it for the director's report. Any
Okay,
questions?
Good news. Thank you.
great. Okay, Maxine, council report, please.
So as many of you may know, the Olive Crossing original plan was for mixed use. And since the pandemic and the change of people using retail and office buildings not being used as, it's going to be a whole new look of how people utilize office space. Greg Yowitz came back to us from Keat, and they are, we're going back and we've created a TIF commission because we're looking at mixed use again. And we have the TIF commission convened for the first time last week, and then their next meeting will be on 3/29. The mixed use will now include some residential, which is often part of the mixed use, and they're looking at adding on, in addition to the retail and office space and the hotel and the restaurants, is to have an apartment complex there. That's all for that area. The old city hall, if you drive along, you can see it's moving along nicely. The garage is up, and they've got some of the structures for the bottom part for the foundation. So once it gets warm, that will be moving along nicely. Where George's gas station is on the southeast corner of Olive, Firestone will be closing with them sometime either in the next 2 weeks. And then the other thing is we have an election coming up on April 6th, and Sydney Clark is running for re-election. And that's all I know at this time. Are there any questions?
Who is running against Sydney?
I don't know his name.
Okay,
There is one person in the community running against him, but I don't know who he is. I know that Sydney's running against, he's not running alone.
right,
And there's only one seat.
right. Okay, any questions for Maxine? Okay, and it's great to see you back.
Thank you. A little under the weather, so thank you.
Okay. Let's see, the master, well, one of the things that I would say also that's going on is it's pretty much in the planning stage at this point, but there's also an apartment complex up around the Public Works area north of CVS that is being proposed. And I've been writing along on the various meetings to see what can be done about public space in those, and we'll see how that goes. Let's just say there's a lot of interest in what's going on there, but it's a very big area as well. Let's see, the work plan, or not the work plan, park master plan implementation, Beverly.
Okay, great. So thank you to those of you that attended the meetings. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And if you miss the meetings, both meetings the full recording of those meetings are up online. There were some great questions from the residents that attended. They were very well attended. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I think one had about 48 people and one had 54 people. And that does include panelists, but there were only a handful of panelists. So those are really, really good numbers.
That's amazing.
And it was also really nice because we were able to hold the meetings, even though one of them occurred during, the ice storm. So that's one upside of us getting accustomed to Zoom, is we didn't have to cancel the public meeting. So that was really nice. Show you over here the city website so that you can see exactly where, if you have questions or you want to recap something, or if you want to direct people to things. This is the city's homepage here. And when you scroll down, right here is the project updates. So when you click this takes you to the microsite, and you can get there. Up here, you'll see on the address. I'm not sure what you can see on my screen, but can you see my my address bar up here? You can get to the microsite just by using PARC projects. You don't have to use the full URLs. We do have that as a direct link. There's also a direct link from the Parks and Rec page. So if that's, sometimes people have that bookmarked, there's a direct link right here that takes you straight over to the same place. So over here on this microsite, there are the reports that go to council will be stored here. The public meeting recordings will be here. So actually that's on my to-do list this week, is to get that second meeting record up there. We use the URL from YouTube. So they were also simultaneously broadcast on YouTube, and that's the recording we put there. So when you click this link, it takes you straight through to the city's YouTube channel, and you can watch the whole meeting there. See, it comes up really easily, which is nice. So, oops. Oh, and what did I do? Oh. My apologies. Let's get right back over there. Okay. And so now each park has its own page where we'll track things and put up photos as they come and as any more documentation comes. So when you click on the community center, you get the floor plan, the community center timeline, and then you also see the site plan, and then all of the renderings and everything are up there. So just want to make sure that you knew that's there. And then the other thing that's here that's really nice is when you come down here, if people have questions and are asking you about Prop C and how we got here, this link takes you straight over to the Prop C website. All of that information is still there with all the background financing questions and the pro forma and all the rest of it. Then this is the PDF. This is a really big file, so I'm not going to click on it, but this gives people the entire PDF of the whole Parks Master Plan they can read through. So if you get questions from people and you don't know the answers, send them to me. And if there's things that you think need to be up here and aren't up here, please also send them to me, because I really want to make sure that we're getting the information out that our people are curious about. And then get further along, we'll be putting up posters in the park and have updates that'll be actually on site in each of the locations.
Question, were there any glaring or standout moments in any of these discussions?
No, it was actually, it was really good. There was one question that threw us in the beginning, and once we kind of figured out what was being asked. So when we opened the meeting, we talked about the first meeting, we said, we're only talking about Warson and the community center. And then the second meeting, we talked about the other 4 parks, and we reiterated that when the meeting started, and the mayor gave a nice introduction, and then we launched into the park presentations. But some people, join after it's in play. And we did have a question that came up that someone asked, where's the year-round activity center? That's the only reason I voted for this bond measure, and I wanted it in Stacy Park, and is this a bait and switch? So we realized that the person had confused Warson and Stacy, and so we answered the question, no, that we're absolutely building an indoor play area, and we showed, Barb showed the websites. You could go and see the meeting and showed the graphics of it. And that person stayed on and then asked an unrelated question later. So, so hopefully that was the only one that kind of threw us. Everything else was great. We're just great questions about the project and asking details about things. People are we heard a lot that people are really pleased that we are preserving large trees. We did have questions about how many trees would be replaced for when we have to take down a mature tree, how many trees are being planted in its place and things like that. So yeah, it was, people were very engaged and asked a lot of questions. So it was very good. And then for those of you that were on, were there any other standout moments for any of you?
No, I was shocked just how receptive people were. And there really wasn't a lot of talk about what amenities were there, but that's a very sort of interest question, I would say.
That's great.
Beverly,
Yeah.
when will the February 10th meeting be online, do you think?
It should already be up. And if we hadn't had the storm and lost the day with the holiday, it would be already up. So I will absolutely get that up before the end of the week.
Okay, thank you.
I also noticed some broken links in there. So it's, the city's website it's a good challenge for me to have to do the programming in the city's website. It's very from our department one. So
Beverly, is the Ballard King and all of that, is that part of the Prop C?
it is, yes,
Data,
it's all
okay.
up there. We kept
All the
everything up
feasibility.
from that.
All the feasibilities, okay.
Yeah, everything's in there. Yeah, for sure. And then the current work focus, we are in the design development stage for the community center and for Warson Park. And we are, the track is moving forward so fast. We now know that the Park House, we've received word that the demo for that will start pretty close to August 1st. So right now, the crews in the midst of their winter storm duties, they're also going through all of the supplies and packing things up and sorting. We're getting rid of a lot of, the Park House has been in use for a long time. So like drying up old paint to dispose of it properly, things like that. So, and then the staff are researching storage. We're going to bring some storage containers in for their tools to use all the time and put some other things in deep storage. So that's moving quickly. So that we have a deadline to have everything out of that house by July 1st, which is pretty exciting. Makes it seem real. And that's all I have, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Any other questions?
I do,
Thank you.
if I can.
Sure.
I know that we're going to be entering into the design phase in March through August for Indian Meadows, Riverside, Stacy, and Villa. Has there been any more discussion about the parking lot proposed for the pond area in Stacy?
No, because that is a vision item. So it's not funded through Prop C. So it's one of those items that'll sit out there. And then we know we don't have the money for it now. And when, as you probably all remember, when we did the original park master plan, the plan calls for in 5 years' time to do that check-in on the plan and say, are these items that haven't been completed, are they still valid, or have things changed in light of trends or resident interest or changes in population? Or when you made one improvement, did it also then point to something else happening? So those types of vision items will be readdressed when we do that check-in. And if that's not something that is still a desirable element, then we amend the plan, because the plan really is this living document that we're taking forward in time.
So I had forgotten that was a vision item. Thank you. But what happens in the meantime? So it feels like if it's on the books and it's kind of being planned for, and we'll revisit it in 5 years, that seems to suggest then that we also put on hold any kind of improvements that we might do as a matter of course, whether it's tree planting or maybe, giving more attention to that particular area in terms of plantings. I think that's what I'm kind of bringing up, is that I would maybe at some point when appropriate have another discussion over that, and I would advocate eliminating that part from the master plan so that we can use that area or look at that area, not wait 5 years, to go forward on it. So the more people I talk to, and the more I thought about it, I'm thinking that it's not, I think, what we hoped that it could be or should be. And so I don't know when it would be appropriate to talk about that.
Well, I think it's good to have that on record now, and I will certainly share that with the landscape architects. And I know that, that plan we created was a while ago, and so much has changed with our volunteer activity with people, and we were really taking the reins with moving forward with some of these renovations. So it really has changed sort of the interest in the park. So it makes sense that some of these items may not make it through to the long range plan. So I think it's okay. I think it's okay. And in the meantime, when we get this detailed design from the landscape architects, it'll be somewhat of a schematic design, which means that even if we were just, let's say that the parking lot there, we really wanted to move forward with it, it doesn't preclude us from doing improvements in that area, because we'll have the actual specs, so that wherever there would be natural plantings in that area, we can go ahead and do them now. And just leave where the actual parking lot would be, not put a tree there, but certainly could plant other things. But I'm not saying that because I'm advocating, I'm just using that as an example. So, but I think that's great feedback, and it's good for us to ask what is the process for that right now, because you are the body that's most engaged in this plan, and you had the biggest say in developing this plan. So I think it's really important that you still have that voice and you still share your thoughts.
And Ed, is your concern just about development in that part of the park, or taking out current vegetation, or what?
Well, in full disclosure, I've always, there's been something about it that didn't sit right with me.
Mhm.
And Brian wrote a really nice letter to the architects, and he just was able to capture exactly what I was feeling, but couldn't really put words to. He was talking about how that area is like a destination. It's like a journey, almost like a pilgrimage for a lot of people and young kids going to that pond, and the different activities that we're seeing there. Just what we've been doing with the prairie and the interest in that, and just putting that pathway in the prairie and how many people are walking it now. It's really a walking destination, and the fear is by adding that auto element and an easy access off of Warson, kind of takes away that fourth wall. If use a theater metaphor here for a second, right? It's taking that away, and it's kind of stripping us of that, kind of like that, nice, private, isolated. It's not really, right, but it feels that way. But to go down there and see cars and everything associated with that really just takes the magic out of what is becoming kind of a popular destination for park goers.
Mm-hmm.
Brian also addressed the issue of disabled people or people that had some challenges, and he's had some experience working with lots of clients of his, and he doesn't see it as a barrier. And if anything, he sees it as, the route down there is not an obstacle to all kinds of different people accessing it. So he really changed my thing. I mean, I've always kind of thought some of these things, but he really was able to articulate. I thought he made a really persuasive argument. And I'm just starting to see that area different than I did initially.
Yeah, there's been a marked change in how people use Stacy Park during the pandemic. It's always been very popular with walkers, but in the course of the pandemic, other things have happened in there. So we have the new woodland trail in there, the Cottonwood Trail that Ed built in there. I can't tell you how many people are still complimenting us on that trail and talking about how important it is to them. And then the other thing we've seen is all of the renovations, not renovations, but all the rehabilitation that's gone on in the pond and in the garden area in there. The number of people going and using that area really is a marked increase than in the past. And part of that is, that the Prairie Master Plan that was developed when they put in the Prairie back in 2006, I think is when they did that master plan. Date right, Ed? Is it 2006? And then seeded in 2008.
Mhm.
The original plan had pathways through the Prairie, and they were never realized. The Prairie was kind of neglected for a long time. And in the last 5 years, we've really done a lot of work to kind of bring it back. And in the course of the work that was done there over the winter, pathways had to be mowed through for the volunteers to get in to remove honeysuckle. And those pathways that were cut through are very similar to that master plan that showed those mowed pathways through the Prairie. It's been really interesting because the minute those pathways opened up, people started walking them. And it's become quite clear to us as we spend more time down in there, just how important this area is to people. And, the pond for a long time, I really saw as kind of it was this albatross. It's never functioned correctly. It's been a money pit. We've put a lot of money into it. And quite frankly, part of that was there was so much deferred maintenance. It was never managed correctly. So through having people, Jim has really taken the lead on this, having people down working in there consistently, it's really changed my opinion on that. As we all spend more time down there, we see the use of that area. It really has become clear to me that it is beloved. It's beloved by our residents. So it really has changed my mind about that whole area and the importance of that pond. So I definitely hear what you're saying, Ed, and I did appreciate what Brian wrote. And perhaps it would be helpful if we shared that with the rest of the commission so you could all hear that. We do have a remarkable asset in having Brian on our staff. Brings such a depth of horticultural experience and native habitat rehabilitation we've never had before. I'm so thankful all the time that he joined our staff. I mean, I think you can all see it in the parks. I mean, you immediately see this change in our parks. So I think it's important that we listen to that.
Yeah, and Ed, I would echo, as I've been working down in that area, I've had several people that have looked at the plans online, the vision plans, and ask about that, and were concerned about it as well. So that's good. And then I would also underscore, Beverly, what Brian has done, not only horticulturally, but he has a lot of experience with volunteers.
He does,
and
yes.
And has worked very closely. So are there other things to on the master plan? Okay, moving on to the work plan. I have sent that around a couple of times. We have a document that it's a Google document that I created, but at the same time, I think we've got have several different things that we're doing, and to underscore kind of where we're at, the next 1.5 to 2 years are going to be incredibly exciting for this group, because we've got there's a lot of work and a lot of policy that needs to be created over the community center, from pretty much from the bottom up, and then also what we're doing with various aspects of the parks. And so what I've done is I've asked folks to volunteer for particular parts, particular things, and I think we've gotten a good response.
It didn't catch my updates, Jim.
Yeah, I did. This one doesn't, but I I
That's
just,
fine.
did- yeah, I just did one before. I've got Rob on the first goal. And then if you just go out and grab let's see if it comes up that way.
Oh, that is a defunct. I'm sorry.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
anyway, Rob, we've got
That's
that.
fine.
We've got that. And I know Keisha, you had some problems getting in on it. So if you can look at what I sent you and then maybe come back.
Add me to number 3.
Number 3, okay,
Yeah, but I can't open the Google Doc.
okay. Are you doing it from a
I
browser?
was able to open. I was able to open the attachments, but I can't open the Google Doc.
Okay, okay. Well, we can work with that. One of the, as I'm looking through these, just kind of to give some thoughts that we have in terms of the sports and recreation programs where we can work with staff on goal number 1. I think Carla is that, and Rob will be working on that. I know we've talked in terms of goal number 2. We're pretty much all doing different things that Beverly will reach out to people, and we'll need to kind of see where we're going. The one thing is with that particular thing with the plan is to how we come up with the capital budgets for the year. And a lot of this, you're the eye, I shouldn't say you, we are the eyes and ears of the community in the parks. And if we see something that needs to be done, it's important to, one, let folks know. And a lot of that involves capital. And so we have a limited capital budget. I don't know what are your, Beverly, what's the capital budget?
But the capital budget will come to you as part of the annual budget process, and it may be down, our money available may be down this year, we'll see.
What are we spending?
Pardon me?
What are we spending round numbers in capital a year?
It varies dramatically by what's requested. We held off on major capital purchases over the last 3 years in preparation for the Parks Master Plan because we didn't want to do any capital projects ahead of the Parks Master Plan being completed. So our last major purchase was a vehicle, and then also the master plan itself. Those are the last 2 big ticket items we paid for out of there. But as we move forward with our operations, we'll be able to pick up some items that weren't funded through Prop C, but there's also some ongoing expenses we have to look at with some equipment, things like that to have to be replaced.
So that's really what number 2 is around. Number 3, and Keisha, thank you for working with that, is just getting volunteers. And some of that is around not only getting more volunteers, but working with leveraging what we have with other organizations, like for instance, Olivet and Bloom. We've got a tremendous thing going now with the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts coming in, and we just need to sort of get a handle around that. And I know staff is working hard with those groups, but as we can begin to develop a catalog of projects so that when someone comes to us, that's what we can say, here's the grocery list of what we need.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
we can
that'll
do
be
that.
fantastic. We actually, we had 2 volunteer interviews today, and then we had one 2 weeks ago. People really are definitely reaching out. The volunteer we interviewed 2 weeks ago has taken on the tree inventory update. And when we interviewed her, she said that she applied because she saw the the renovation. She saw the new trail being created in Stacy, and then she saw the habitat restoration signs, and she said that that really galvanized her to reach out and volunteer with us because she was so excited by that. So I'm thrilled. That's
And a lot of that, just getting the organization together
Mhm.
for what we're doing there, and tracking, because we want to be able to go out to the community and say, here's what we're doing,
Absolutely.
as well as when we get people that want to volunteer, we can give them that don't want to do Weed Warriors or All of It in Bloom or something like that, that they can do, that we can say, here's some projects in addition to what we're doing with the Girl Scouts. Long range, the next one is the long range financial planning. And there's a couple of things in that one, working with helping forecast, because the city council, I believe, does multi-year forecasting, and the parks are a component of that. And so that's to bring people up to speed with those. And I know that Rob has volunteered for that along with Mary Kay. And also one of the other things that we're really looking at is we need to get our memorial policy put together, because people are wanting to give things to the parks. And it's not, to me, it's not just the memorials, but it's also people that want to contribute in some way. And that needs to be put together and presented to council for approval. And so that we can do that. And it's particularly important at this point, because I think people's expectations of what the parks are going to be is right now is pretty high. The reality of it is that with Prop C, we can do a lot, but we can't do it all. And so if we can get private funds, either through private-public partnerships or with individuals, I think we can do that. And then 5 is working on the sort of the multi-year management. I mean, it's kind of what Ed was talking about earlier. How can we work with staff to say, let's work on this, let's figure out what we're doing, because we all know that it's a long process to grow a tree. And so we need to figure that out. So Ed and I will work on that. And then development, I know that Beverly has sends things out periodically, but we're going to try to be more intentional about that. And I don't know, Beverly, in terms of the Missouri Parks and Recreation Association and so forth, with those meetings, I'm seeing a lot of those online and so forth. Is that something that we can participate in? It seems like
Absolutely. And you should all be receiving your mailings from them. You're all enrolled as full members. So you should be able to see the webinars and the trainings as they come out. You should be receiving the monthly magazine and announcements. If you aren't, let me know. And Donald checked with the head office, because you probably remember the year before last, I asked you if you wanted to receive it by mail or by online. I think most of you chose online. So you should be, if you're not receiving it, then we will find out why not. And then recently I also joined the City Park Alliance, and we're starting to get some good information from them. So we have one membership in NRPA. So I do send things out from NRPA periodically. A lot of the NRPA things you can sign up for without being a member and receive. They do podcasts, and they do daily emails and all sorts of things, wonderful things. And NRPA stands for National Recreation and Park Association.
Okay. So what I would ask of the commissioners, if the people that are signed up for these, if we can, in the next month, if you can get together and kind of get some ideas and report back on progress. I mean, this is it's a journey. It's not something that's going to actually be done. But if we can incorporate in our meetings reports of what's been going on. I know everyone's busy and doing things, but if we can begin to build the momentum to talk about these areas and if you can get together, and I'm assuming that everyone's got everyone else's phone number and contact information. So we can do that. And if you need to have, if you want to do something not by phone, but by Zoom, I'm sure we can make a Zoom account available. Well, there's freebies that you can do as well. So that's.
We can set up meetings through we have a paid Zoom account in the department, and we can set up meetings that way.
So yeah, if there's things that are needed, and then particularly with staff, I think the various groups or for the various goals can be working, can contact Beverly, and she can work with those things. I mean, as we move forward. So are there questions about the process?
I have a question. I don't know if it is a part of this process, but I know that there's some grant opportunities available, like the local Muni Park grants are available. There was also just the Missouri State Park outdoor recreation grants just closed, I think today, that could help offset some of the things that we're trying to do. Are we also leveraging some of those resources to make sure that we're enhancing even beyond what our plan is, or enhancing the plan to offset what Prop C can't pay for?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yes, we will be applying for Muni Park grants. If anyone's interested, there's a formula, and you can see based on our population and our what the last time we received a grant, what we can hope to achieve on that. I sit on the decision board, or the recommendation board of that Muni Park grants. We've applied for Department of the Missouri Department of Conservation grants for honeysuckle removal. We haven't been successful yet, but we do. We're going to keep applying for them, absolutely, because we know we qualify. So eventually one will stick. And then we're also working with monitoring several other grants. So as soon as we get further into the design, where we actually have a design we can apply for, we will be absolutely going for targeted items.
So where would you see that? Would you see that in long range financial planning?
I think so.
That we need.
I think so.
We probably we can add that to that one.
Mhm.
Because I've talked sort of one-off with Beverly on things. When you start looking at some of these parks around, we don't, Olivet doesn't have a history of getting sponsorships. I mean, I think we've gotten grants. We can see some signs in the parks that say there are grants. But I think also we can leverage perhaps more of our more folks to do that. I don't know that we can do it on the scale of Clayton to get the Enterprise Pavilion. But,
right. Yeah. Clayton has a nonprofit that specifically manages their large gifts.
But I think we need to think big. Yeah,
we just partnered with Great Rivers Greenway for a transportation grant, a TAP grant, $1 million that you should be seeing some information. We have to help publicize that. So we'll be pushing information out through social media about that process. And we're very hopeful that we'll receive that grant, and that will go towards some of the costs of the Great Rivers Greenway Centennial Pathway, Centennial Greenway, as it comes to all of it.
So Keisha, is that an area of interest for you as well?
Well, I just follow, so I get a bulletin that comes out from East West Gateway that lists all of the municipal grants from all different areas, whether it's transportation, recreation. And it just, continues to be present. So if that's an opportunity for financial advantage for us, for the city to leverage towards our master plan, I think we should use it.
So
Absolutely.
can I put you down for the financial planning goal?
Sure.
Okay, okay, we'll do that. Are there other questions?
You have a hand raised, Jim.
Oh, okay, yes, sir.
I
Rob?
wanted to see if we could get a copy of the East-West, or the document that you co-opt with Great River Greenway for this group to review and inspire.
You want a copy of the TAP application?
Yeah, if it's available.
Hey, I will ask.
Okay, yeah. We've got a great document in our park master plan. But I think the more strong vision type documents we could get our hands on, that will make it easier to map out those financial opportunities. Thank you.
And did we know about that TAP grant? Or is it something I just maybe overlooked?
The TAP grant, well, we've talked about it during the public presentations, but I don't know if I specifically reported to, well, I'm sure Barb did when she talked about the how we're managing the construction of the Greenway. I believe she mentioned it.
It's just part of the Great Rivers Greenway construction. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm asking. I didn't know if it was something separate.
No, it's part of that. Yeah.
So if we can on these goals, next month, have a report on structure, how it's going to be approached, and then we can move from there in terms of periodic updates.
Sounds good.
Okay, Beverly, let's see, can you put the agenda back up?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let's see. Yes, as staff was looking at the meetings, one of the meetings that we have scheduled is, I believe, is Yom Kippur Eve on the 16th of September. What is the desire of folks to move that? Do we want to? Can people move that to the 22nd, which would be I guess there's 5 Wednesdays in September. So does it make sense to move that to the 22nd?
September is crazy because there's a lot of Jewish holidays and they all fall on like Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So I was looking at that earlier today and I printed out a calendar.
I'm showing, let's see.
Well, the 22nd is during Sukkot, so that would be okay. I'm just, but I don't see, it's the end of the second day, so I think that would probably be a possibility, but the following week it's Simchat Torah, and that's not good.
Right, okay.
So I don't know if you want to go to another night that month, or
Let's see, when is your council meeting? Because you're on Tuesdays, correct?
They're
On
Tuesdays,
Tuesday.
yes. And then planning commission is on Thursdays, but it's every other Thursday.
oh, and the every other will avoid Yom Kippur. Okay. Sue, do you want to weigh in about the end of the second day of Sukkot?
I mean, that's fine with me, Maxine.
Yeah, I think the
You're
22nd is
the
better
one,
than the
you're the one.
29th.
Okay,
You're the one with the conflict.
okay, if you can, Beverly, if you can reflect that on calendar and resend that out, please?
I need you to call for a motion. You can read let me go back over here. You can read the recommendation here.
Or do we have to have a motion for,
You do, because you adopted your calendar, so you just need to vote on this.
okay. So is there a motion to update the 2021 Parks meeting dates and to change the date for September from September 16th to
September
You had-
15th.
So right here, so it's to September 15th, not the 22nd?
From the 15th to the 22nd.
Okay, so here's your motion right here. So whoever,
Okay, so,
just read that.
all right, so I motion that we approve moving the September park meeting from September 15th to September 22nd.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing no,
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Rob,
Rob, thank you.
all those opposed? Carried.
Great.
So when you plan, I know, Bev, if you go to work on the calendar for like the garage sale, I know you were gonna go back and look at doing it 2 days again, but you had some people that were concerned last year.
Yes,
The only Sunday to avoid, I think, would be the 26th
of what day?
of September,
What month?
September 26th. Otherwise,
Okay,
there's no holidays on any of the Sundays.
okay. I know we were gonna shoot for a spring
Oh,
date.
you're going for spring instead? Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna probably do 2 because people really are still stuck at home and still cleaning things out. So
You're
we
gonna do a
had several
spring
requests for,
this spring?
yeah, we
Great
don't
idea.
have the funds to do, the shred was very expensive. And police, we split that with police. So I'm not sure we can do shred again. But if we budget it for next fiscal year, we could do it in July. But I'm not sure, what do you think about doing an event like that in July when it's really hot?
Might be good because then there'd be fewer people.
I think you've done it in July before.
We
And
have,
right
it's
now
really
it's a-
hard on the police officers. Actually, it was so popular last time. We've talked about we need to relocate it probably away from City Hall because the traffic backed up all the way onto Olive because so many
Yeah,
people came. So, so if we moved it to Stacy, that would probably be, it's more shaded and we can accommodate more cars coming in for the drop off.
it's a great idea.
Yeah, so we might do that. We're still working on the logistics of that and the money.
Okay.
And right now, a few hot days sound really good.
Okay. Actually, on number 10, future agenda items, I think we've talked about all of them up to this
You
point.
have, you're done? Yep.
And Weed Warriors, we always, if you hear anybody who's really interested in honeysuckle or taking their aggressions out on invasive species, more power to them. And we'll go, and then looks like the 17th is the next meet, March 17th. And then I think we're going to have a quiet St. Patrick's Day this year, so we won't,
Is that St. Patrick's Day?
yep,
Every year.
Every year. I always forget every year. Isn't it?
yeah. Anyway, are there other things that need to come before the commission?
Yeah, I would still like to have Brian talk to the group. I don't know that he's ever had a chance to formally introduce himself to us. And maybe give him an agenda item to talk about. Especially March should be great because we're going to be getting started with a lot of planting,
Yeah.
planting.
Yeah.
And I know
Okay.
it'd
I
be
think
good
that's
to talk
great.
about.
So I'll have him and it'll be his 1-year anniversary too, which is nice. And the only drawback is the 17th is his birthday.
Well, we'll all sing.
But he probably can't go anywhere.
It's apropos.
Yeah.
Any updates on opening up anything? Community center,
Community centers
Plant-
reopened.
plant and facilities?
That would have been really good for us to put in the director's report. I apologize, unless it was in last, I can't remember, but we've reopened to the public, but our classes are still virtual.
Yeah.
Do have kids coming in playing basketball after school. So right now we have 2 kids that come on a regular basis when they get off the bus. And they give us their backpack or keys or wallet as collateral, and we hand them a basketball. And then we sanitize it when they're done.
Do you have a head count limit as to how many kids that would be?
We do. We can't have more than, I think, Dawn, is it 10 right now?
Yeah,
That's good enough.
50%. We're at 50%, so that would be 20.
We could have 20. Okay.
What time of the day are we talking about?
We're talking after school until we close at 5.
3:30?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in other words, yes, Matthew's welcome to come over.
So do the new,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like that stricken from the record.
Okay. Keisha?
so do the new county restrictions being lifted on sports, does that affect those numbers at all?
It doesn't, because the indoor numbers, they still have not changed. They seem to have gotten tougher for the basketball in those new restrictions. They've lifted most of the restrictions for outside though, but we're already down the road of having the baseball clinics instead of baseball league this year. But
The ones that just changed this week?
yeah, they just changed last night.
Last night at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. But the indoor counts have not changed, and they haven't released anything else. So that's the latest one that's come out. We kind of stalk that website, and they tend to come out very late at night, if not midnight.
Yeah, the indoor count still goes off of occupancy of your facility.
Your building, yeah.
And what, in the gymnasium is what's the occupancy?
Well, there's a whole different, if you're putting people in there for a trivia night, that's one number versus if you're putting them in there for basketball, that's another. So
Oh, okay.
it's a very fluid, how do we make this work
Right.
type of thing.
And then we also have the fact that it's not supervised. So right now we have 3 kids that play on a regular basis. And I'm very happy with that. But if we started to have 20 kids in there, we'd have to put a staff member down there, or at least check on them periodically. Just make sure that
Keep
they aren't
it
killing each other
civilized.
down there.
Right.
So it's complicated and you use logic.
Yes, and they wear their masks.
Bingo.
So
Do they good? Do
Good.
they? Okay.
they
Yeah,
do.
good.
They actually do, even while they're playing, which is great.
Fair enough.
The kids at the high school.
Yeah, the kids that are coming to play are middle schoolers. That's who we have.
Gotcha.
But Keisha, is anything exciting going on with the schools at this point? I'm glad we did Prop C last year.
So am I. No, just Prop L. Our bond initiative is the big thing going on right now. It's $126 million to renovate the remaining buildings in the district, hopefully for the last time. That will basically give Old Bonham and Spady almost a brand new school. Do some upgrades to Reed and gosh, brain fart.
Conway,
Conway, gosh, my kids are there, thank you. Everybody together, Conway. So Reed and Conway, to upgrade the gyms and some of the spaces there. And then also the middle school, really just kind of level it out. And it's kind of has some of the same issues as the high school did. So hopefully, fingers crossed, things will pass without any problems.
Yeah.
But we never can tell. people are not always happy with what we've done through the pandemic, just it's a pandemic. So
Yeah.
it'll just
Yeah.
be, how we have to bear things out.
You think there's any parking lot money in there for Stacy for Old Bonham?
I don't know.
I don't know either, because they're losing parking at Old Bonham with the new plans, right?
No, not actually.
No?
It just shifts. It's just really kind of a weird dynamic. But there's those conversations I thought had been had, because I know that there is some conversations about using the parking lot at Stacy, as they do.
Yes.
So
Yes. I've heard those conversations, but I have not heard any conversations about money, because that's one of the, well, you saw the Stacy plans are really grappling with that parking lot. So right now it's in 2 phases, because we can't afford to pave the whole thing.
yeah, so I'm not sure where that will land.
I don't either.
Okay, so do we have a public partnership in the works?
I don't know.
That might be an MOU.
That's what that would be.
Yeah. For $1 a year. Anyway, is there anything else?
You're just trying to get to 8:30, Jim.
What? No.
No.
Well, I know at least 3 people on here really want to rest. So we'll go from there. So do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second,
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. We'll see you on
Thank you, everybody.
We'll see you on
Good,
March
very much.
17th.
Good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Bye.
Okay, bye.